Hi, everyone. This is Jacqui Cooper with JCooperTravels Talk Show. And I want to thank everyone for hopping on this episode and also remind everyone to definitely like and subscribe because there are a lot of wonderful episodes coming up, including today's episode. And before I introduce my special guest today, I just want to go back to the history of why JCooperTravels started in case you're new to the feed. I started this show way before COVID, and it's when we were traveling around the world, and we are now still starting to travel. But my focus at that point was really where do we go around the world? Because I love traveling, and I've been to China and Africa and Europe and a host of other places. But when COVID happened, like with everything else, that pause button actually was a really great way to kind of rethink, reflect, and think about what is important in life. And with J. Cooper Travels, I realized that we travel in many ways. We travel both physically, but we also have an inner journey, and we travel both personally as well as in business. And so that, meant to me that I needed to invite new guests on that could share more about their personal stories to give everyone guidance and tips and be inspired to kind of reach beyond what we might normally feel comfortable with. So with that, I want to welcome back to the show Monique, because we've had many conversations, and she's a wonderful resource. So we're going to start talking, but I want to also mention that if you are driving or you don't have paper and pen, don't worry. I see their comments already, clicking in so that they remember from the before that we've had some wonderful shows. But definitely come back to the blog. Her website and how you can contact her will be embedded within, so you can enjoy our conversation, not worry about how do you go back and get something to write down with. It will be here. Just come back to this conversation. Hi, Monique. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jackie. I'm doing great. It's so good to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. And so for those that are also on the talk show side, definitely hop over to the YouTube side so you can like and subscribe and also see our conversation live. So I want you to go ahead and reintroduce yourself. I know we've had a number of conversations, but there might be some individuals who are new to the feed, and I want them to learn more about your background, how you got started, and how you're helping everyone right now.
Sure. Well, I'm an executive coach, and I've been an executive coach for about 25 years. I started with a corporate background, starting at age 22 as a single parent. I came out of a childhood of trauma. So when I entered the corporate world, I was getting pretty triggered by a lot of the dysfunction that I saw there. So after some time in the corporate world, I decided to go out on my own as an executive coach, and I've been doing that ever since. I work now with corporate leaders of all levels, helping them develop leadership skills, helping them to improve their behavior, to transform themselves as leaders in the corporate world so that maybe they won't experience the same kind of dysfunction that I did. So at present, I'm working with individuals from across about 15 different industries located on 6 continents. And I'm billing out about 200 hours a month in coaching. So it's a much needed service. And I would like to think I'm doing a really great job at helping people.
Well, hopefully you find, time to balance, because 200 hours is a lot. But definitely you're right. It's a very needed experience. And especially if you think about what's going on right now, again, there is coming out of the COVID experience, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of challenges with kind of navigating this new type of business. So I know that you cover a lot of different topics. Today's topic is something that's close to my heart because I am a multitasker. It's about time and how do we use it in a way that can not overwhelm you, but can empower you, because that is something that is limited quantity. So what are you going to share with us today about that? I know you have a lot of different insight. You've helped a lot of people learn how to breathe and within the time that they have on their business. So I'm going to let you start to share now.
I have really boiled time management down to include three main components. So I consider time management to be an umbrella with these three components within it: organizing, planning, and then managing time. And the busy executives that I work with need to be efficient in order to be productive and run their teams. Just like I, as a coach, billing out 200 hours a month, need to be really efficient in order to have good balance in the rest of my life. So I'll start by explaining each of these components and how they all fit in under that umbrella of time management. So organizing is actually the first step. You really can't manage your time until you understand how to organize your environment.
Mm-hmm.
So that means things like organizing your physical environment, making sure your workspace is organized, not cluttered, that you have the right lighting coming in, that you are able to be on the phone or on camera without distractions. And it also means organizing your electronic environment. And by that, I mean your emails, your electronic files, making sure you can find things. A lot of time is wasted when people are searching for files and searching for emails, and they're just not organized in the best way. So in several of the books that I've written, especially the most recent one, there's a whole piece in there about time management and how important it is to organize your environment and how to organize the environment. So that's really the first component. Once you've organized your environment, planning comes next. So planning includes things like getting rid of time vampires. So these are people that suck your time. And you could even be your own time vampire by being self-critical, by procrastinating. So really looking over your span of influence, who is in your life and who is really sucking your time. Who do you need to set boundaries with? Boundaries is a big piece of the puzzle that I work with executives on, because a lot of them define their self-worth by how much work they can take on, how much can they do, who can they help out, and then they become overwhelmed because they don't know how to say no. They have not set boundaries. So time vampires, boundary setting, that comes under that component of planning. It's just really taking a big picture look at what's going on in your life and then getting rid of the things that aren't good for you. And part of planning also is using a task list. Now, a lot of people do use a task list, but it's handwritten and it could be on sticky notes. So they have sticky notes all over the place. Many people do this, or they're using planners that they hand write in. And really using something is better than using nothing. But what I have found and what my executives have found is that using an electronic task list is much more efficient. So many times I work with my clients on how to transition over from the sticky notes and the paper planner to electronic task lists, which is still part of the planning process. Now, what most people don't know is that any email program has a task list in it. Outlook has it, Gmail has it. You click on a tab that says tasks and it brings up this whole different part of your email program where you can list your daily, weekly, monthly tasks. And you can assign timelines to them. You can prioritize them. It's the same way that you would handle that in a paper planner. So I help people really transition over and start getting used to using that electronic task list and listing all their tasks. Every little thing that they normally would try to keep in their head gets listed in a task list. What I'm also finding with my clients is that if they don't list these things out, they keep these things in their head. And then at the end of the day, they cannot stop thinking. They can't decompress. They can't sleep because they've got all this information running around in their head. So they need to dump it into a task list. So that's the planning component. The final component is managing your time and those tasks. So once you have everything dumped into a task list, it doesn't just stay there. Then you have to prioritize it. You have to look at what tasks need to be done immediately today, what can wait until later in the week, and what can even wait until later in the month. A big mistake that a lot of people make is that they have a task list, but for some reason they think everything on that list needs to be done today. And when it's not possible, then they stress over it, they beat themselves up over it. But I teach them to break that task list down and really think about what can wait, what is a lower priority. Not everything is urgent. So the planning of the task list and the prioritizing of it becomes really important as part of managing the time. And then I have them use their calendar, again, the electronic calendar within their email program, to do what I call time blocking. And this is not a new concept, but a lot of people either don't do it or they do it incorrectly. They're not really sure how to do it. So with time blocking, you are putting aside time to handle those tasks that you have prioritized. You're setting up meetings with yourself within your calendar. So it could be that you're going to spend an hour every day looking at emails instead of looking at emails every few minutes throughout the day, because that's distracting. So you want to lump your like tasks together and then time block them into your calendar. So if you are a project manager and you're working on 3 projects every day, you want to do project A tasks at the same time, and then move on to project B tasks, and then to project C tasks. So you are not flipping every few minutes from one project to another, and you time block that into your calendar. Now I'm simplifying this just, for our conversation today, but with my clients, we spend a lot of time looking at their calendars, seeing how they can time block, what works best for them, because this system has to be modified to fit each person, because each person, their role is different. The responsibilities in their role they're different. So they have to take the system and manage it in the way that works best for them. The other part about time blocking is that once you have these so-called meetings or appointments set with yourself to work on your tasks, your day is going to present you with emergencies, fires, other urgent things that you didn't even think about. So when that happens, you may have to move your time block to another time or even another day so that you can handle the newest priority that comes in. And that is perfectly okay. The point about this is that you are the one taking control of your time, and you are making the decision to move something to the next day instead of just randomly taking on everything that comes in and trying to figure out how to do it. So you're making very thoughtful, deliberate decisions on how to spend your time. And if you want to put something off, it's a decision that you make, and then you move it to whatever day of the week fits best. So those are the 3 components: organizing, planning, and managing. And that makes up what I consider the umbrella of time management. So I'm going to stop there for a minute because I know that was a lot of information for the listeners. And I'm just going to see, Jacqui, if you have any questions about that.
No, I love all that because, as you were, kind of going through everything, I was thinking in my head, how am I doing this? And a lot of times people have approached me and because my background's law, but I'm in special education during the day. And yet I have various business projects after hours, and they've been asking me, how are you doing this? And, I was kind of reflecting when you were talking about I've been able to do this because of the various pieces that you've suggested, and I'm constantly tweaking it because again, um, your personal energy changes. So you have to think about, when are you the most effective during the day, and what is your body telling you, and then also how efficient are you, and like you said, what are the priorities that have to get done, and what can get moved, and feeling the grace of acceptance that it's okay to let things go. That you could have a massive list, but it's not a list that has to be on your shoulders, and I think that's why having someone like yourself help individuals understand how to do that time balance is really important. I didn't have someone like you, so I had to kind of learn on my own. But the thing is that um, I had other mentor resources, whether it was individuals that I, saw what they were doing, or books that I read, things like that. But it's a lot easier, I know, as an IEP chair, and I'm mentoring a new teacher. I have to teach them about time management. I have to teach them, like you said, about um, when do you see your children? When do you do your paperwork? When do you have to educate yourself? All those little things that when you get into a profession, you don't always know. So it's good to have someone outside looking in to help guide you, because you can be a lot more efficient. So one of the things which we didn't do is we didn't mention your website. How do people reach you?
My website is mdconsultingglobal.com. And on that website, there's a resource page and there's also a media page. And on both pages, there are plenty of resources, not only about time management, but about some of the other topics that I coach people on and that I speak on. So people can go there to find those resources and learn more about me. They can contact me by email, Monique@mdconsultingglobal.com, and I'm happy to send them anything that they might need that way also.
So what are some of the other areas that you consult in? I know we're talking about time management, but you have a variety of skill sets. So what else do you do to help your clients?
Some of my other clients are being coached on how to prepare for promotions, personal branding, giving and receiving feedback if they have teams that report to them, handling difficult conversations, various types of communication. So many topics that leaders would deal with in the workplace. Really, any topic that would help a leader be a better leader. And many leaders were put into their positions maybe because of tenure, not necessarily because they were experienced at handling people and managing people. So there are a lot of different issues that come up when they start to learn how to manage people, productivity, things like that. So I coach around any of those types of leadership topics.
So what is the next topic that you think we might be exploring on our next episode?
A great topic that I'm helping many people with right now is the onboarding of new employees. This is a really hot topic right now because of all the changes in the workplace. So I will be talking with you on that topic next.
Yeah. And one of the areas that I know for everyone who's listening that I'm, as I mentioned earlier, I started off in law and I still am doing legal consulting. But if you have any questions that might apply to wills, estate planning, or even if in the business side, if you need contract reviews, there are things that I have either access to or a team that can also help. So just reach out to me on that side. But again, Monique, why don't you mention your website one more time?
It's mdconsultingglobal.com.
Okay, great. And everyone, again, we have a variety of topics that come on JCooperTravels. It can be travel related, it can be health related, it can be finance or business, or, today it was about the coaching and time management. We need these, the time management especially doesn't just apply to business. It also applies to families. There are a lot of working parents that have to multitask and, navigate both families as well as the business side. So a lot of the tips that Monique has shared can be applied to you, in so many ways. So definitely reach out to her. I know she's a great resource. For everyone who's on, thank you so much for listening. Definitely like and subscribe. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We're all connected. We're all part of one world. And I will see you on the next episode of J. Cooper Travels. Thank you so much, Monique, for being on.
Thank you.